You are watching 2+U Nevada, and joining us this afternoon, Dr. Kyren Bogolub with the Nevada Seismological Laboratory. You're a researcher there, and we are so excited to have you because guess what? Today is International Shakeout Day. And Kyren, we were talking about this, and I said, when I grew up, I was taught in the elementary school, we would have a drill and you'd get under the desk. And you said that's what today is all about.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the earthquake drill happened at 10:16 this morning on 10:16. It does happen all over the world, but here in Nevada, we like to call it the Great Nevada Shakeout. And yeah, a lot of students participate, healthcare workers, but it's basically a chance to practice exactly what you described. Succinctly, we say drop, cover, and hold on. So drop down on the ground, get under a desk or something sturdy, or at least cover your head and neck with your hands, and hold on until the shaking stops.
And one more question on what to do in the case of an earthquake. Like if you're in your bedroom and you don't have a desk to hide under, is it still the doorway?
No doorways.
No.
So the thing that is kind of dangerous about a doorway is, for the most part in the United States, our buildings are built up to code where we're not really worried about building collapse. What we're more worried about is light fixtures, windows, things on the walls, plaster even, that can fly off and hit you. And so a doorway does not provide a lot of cover for falling or flying objects. And also, a lot of times doorways have doors in them. And if the ground is shaking and you're in a doorway, it could actually swing that door and you can get hit by the door. So if you're in your bedroom, if you're in bed, actually the safest thing to do is just roll over face down, cover your head and neck, and just hang out until the shaking stops.
I had no idea. So I'm so glad. Thank you for that lesson. What I absolutely love is the university's seismological lab has put together a 2025 Earthquake Experts Guide. Now, this is all online, and so we'll provide a link at the bottom because it's kind of long. So take a look at your screen right now. But this Experts Guide, you go to it, and you've got this table of contents based on a whole bunch of different topics, and it's really a resource for everyone.
Yeah, so I think it's primarily designed for folks in the media, but also we love to do outreach and education. So if you were looking for a guest speaker for your students' class or anything like that, it might be a good place to look.
Yeah, and you're talking about education. Our seismological laboratory at the university is just off the hook. We were talking about your career trajectory and how you came here, and it's because Nevada is seismological.
Yes, exactly. So Nevada actually has the third most magnitude 5 and aboves in the U.S. after California and Alaska. And so it's actually very seismically active. The population here has generally been lower, so I think we haven't gotten as much attention as Seattle or Oregon. But yeah, we have a lot of earthquakes here. It's a fun place to study seismology.
And explain the difference. We were talking about stress, and you were explaining Nevada doesn't really have the tectonic plates.
Right. So the biggest tectonic plate boundary near Nevada is the San Andreas Fault, which is actually in California. And so if this is kind of California and Nevada, and this is the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific plate is moving relative to the North American plate like that, where this would be the San Andreas Fault. And about 10 to 15% of that motion is actually accommodated on what we call the Walker Lane Shear Zone, which is a part of Western Nevada, Eastern California, where you don't have this complete broken fault, but everything kind of smooshes around. And so you have a lot of, we call them shear faults because they slide like that, but that's why it's called a shear zone. So there's a lot of faults. They're just not a tectonic plate boundary.
That's crazy. And this is why we love having the show, because we learn so much. And the one thing that for folks who are watching this at home, if they have kids in the room, earthquakes are super cool for kids unless you're maybe in one. Right. So during an earthquake or we don't want our kids to be afraid of earthquakes, but we want to speak to them appropriately.
Right.
What kind of things would you recommend that adults do when they're talking to kids about earthquakes? What's the message?
Well, I think preparedness is key because, again, in the U.S., a lot of choices that we make can actually impact how safe we are in our homes. So if you're looking around your house, it's really good to look for things, and kids actually can sometimes be really good at this, at identifying, well, what do you think could fall off the wall if it shakes? Is it a big framed picture with a glass pane that hangs above your living room couch? Well, if you're going to spend a lot of time on your living room couch, it's probably not a good place to have that heavy piece of artwork.
Such a great idea. Quickly, because we're running out of time, there's an earthquake warning system over the hill in California. Where's Nevada in getting that early warning system so that we can prepare?
That is a really great question. I'm very glad you asked. So what you're talking about is the Shake Alert system, and that is the USGS's gold standard for earthquake early warning in the United States. Right now, 3 states participate: California, Washington, and Oregon. But where I work at the Seismological Laboratory, we actually do contribute to that system. We run seismic stations in both Nevada and Eastern California that contribute to the Shake Alert system. But right now, only Californians get alerts. And this actually happens, it happened in December of last year, if you remember the earthquake by Yerington. So the earthquake was in Nevada. Nevadans did not get an alert, but folks on the other side of the border in California did.
And Congress needs to make the change.
Yes.
And they're on hiatus right now.
Exactly. So in order to actually get alerts in Nevada, it does take an act of Congress. They do need to appropriate additional funds in the Shake Alert system to bring on the state of Nevada. But at the Nevada Seismological Laboratory, we're very prepared. We already have a lot of the infrastructure in place to set it off. We just need action taken by the USGS.
All right. Dr. Kyren, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You're watching 2+U Nevada.